Yeah.
Right.
Go ahead.
No. What were you going to say?
I was gonna fit in a joke, but I can't mention corporate names in that joke. Now that we're on live.
I'm pretty sure we missed it like just like right like I feel like we got on live like just in time. Just let me make sure that we're all good. I'm gonna see if we got any other answers on the IG.
I got a couple.
All right, that's good. Give me 1 second. Let me put this down. All right. So how you feeling, Chris?
Hanging in there. Vaccine number 2
Mm-hmm.
done. Just trying to navigate the side effects, but all good otherwise. How you doing?
Can't complain. Happy to be here. Another Monday, another show. Very excited. Welcome everybody to the Risk Reward Show presented by RiskReward Media. My name is Derrick Stroman, aka Mr. Reward, and I'm joined by my co-host,
Mr. Risk, Cris Mercado.
Sometimes he goes by Mr. Risque, but I don't think that'll be the case the case now. But we are here to help you find the upside in your professional and financial lives. Today, our main topic is dealing with job interview rejection, and that will take us to 6 p.m. And then we'll take our open office hours questions to give advice to our audience to Twitter Spaces. Very excited to start using this new platform. But as always, please subscribe, like, share, and comment on our YouTube channel. Follow us on IG as well as Twitter. We will be posting a lot more content there. So, with that being said, Chris, let's get the show started. First segment of the evening will be our weekly rewind. I'll kind of kick it off and then just give it to you for your your take on this. But this week we had some crypto news. As you know, I'm very crypto. I love the space of crypto. I'm very excited about it. I think this is something that's here to stay. But for those who are familiar with NCAA, our one of the recent future number 1 draft picks from Clemson, Trevor Lawrence, he recently signed an endorsement deal with Blockfolio, which is a crypto hub. Basically, getting his endorsement deal. And his signing bonus will be in crypto, most likely Bitcoin. On top of that, we also have the Chiefs tight end, Sean Colkin, I think is how you pronounce his last name. But he's going to be converting his NFL salary to Bitcoin. I think this is nothing but upside. Reason being is because the NFL contracts are not guaranteed. And therefore, as an NFL player, I want to make sure that I get my money's worth because I'm putting my body on the line. I'm getting beat up by grown ass men. For now it's 17 weeks. But if you are going to the playoffs, it is longer. But I do think a lot of players are going to start using. I want to get paid in Bitcoin as a way to secure their just to secure like the funds that they're getting. But once again, the adoption of Bitcoin is coming and it cannot be stopped. So with that being said, Chris, what's your take on that? Do you find that to be risky? What's your thoughts?
So it depends on your status as an NFL player. So Trevor Lawrence is projected number 1. And I think he can take more risks like this because it is a risk, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a matter of you deciding, do you want that safe, guaranteed money? Or are you comfortable with something like Bitcoin, some asset category that fluctuates a lot? Like, do you have the stomach for that? maybe another NFL player would be like, you know what, give me that money, and I'd rather like buy properties with it. I'll get my management team, my financial advisor, um, to go with real estate, because that might be a little less risky, or perceived to be as less risky than crypto. So it's a matter of personal preference, but for the athletes in general. By the way, we have no problems working with a lot of the athletes. So y'all want to come reach out to us. We definitely don't mind giving you all some advice, and also kind of like collaborating with the folks, uh, like who are looking out for your investments, who are looking out for your business ventures. Like we gladly help with that. So that's my take on that. There's a lot of like individual differences that you need to account for.
Yeah.
But it's a strong move by everyone.
Yeah, I mean, just knowing that, and like the fact that you're playing in the NFL and you can literally, break something, bruise something in any given snap. I think this is going to be something that's good. Hopefully, I mean, it really depends on where they bought the Bitcoin at. Hopefully, they bought it during like this recent dip. So when it goes back up, then they can say like, okay, like now this is a good, I can see that, I bought it at 40 and now it's at 60. Like that's an easy, probably like a 5x, the 10x, whatever that is. But I do think this is going to be a smart move, and I do foresee a bunch of players doing this more. I don't think for the NBA as much because their money is guaranteed, but for the NFL, I do see a lot of players like taking this route. So I won't be surprised if you see like some type of Dogecoin, like promo during the Super Bowl or something like that.
One quick. That's funny. I just saw a picture of a dog in like the Super Bowl ads. But one additional thing, you mentioned something about timing. Um, I am in favor of one. I actually like incentive-based contracts, just like an extra motivator. But I understand why agents would favor like I want as much guaranteed upfront because you play in dangerous sports. But I always like some incentive clauses in contracts. And the other part of that is I like, because we have this long-term perspective, I also like it when there's some like longer term clauses that kick in. So let's say Trevor Lawrence had, you pay me this amount of salary, but in Bitcoin. But if I hit certain targets, I want the option of, let's say, Ethereum, being able to buy Ethereum, like 5 years post retirement or something like that. So there's a lot of ways to play with this, and you have leverage if you're a top talent.
That being said, hopefully they bought the dip. Hopefully. Is there anything you wanted to bring up, Chris?
So just not a whole lot in detail, but I'm going to acknowledge the wins, particularly especially around like the Asian community at the Oscars. So Chinese, Korean, and Filipina talent in her winning Oscars is amazing. There's still vicious incidents of hate crimes or crimes against Asian folks. And I think today there's also another videotaped shooting in North Carolina. So we just want to give folks a preview that these might be storylines that carry us through the week. But these were mentioned in previous episodes that we have. So I definitely encourage some of the longer takes on related topics. Definitely encourage our audience to go back to our previous episodes.
Yeah, something I'm just pulled up quick. I heard it earlier, but I just wanted to confirm it. But there was a bill passed basically to fight the Asian hate that's happening. I'm trying to get the bill name. Do you know it or no?
There was I'm forgetting the name, but there was actually some pushback by a couple of folks
Mm.
in typically conservative states last week, but I think they got it passed. I honestly have not been paying as much attention to the legislation, but more like the cultural shift and also, amplifying, being able to apprehend, the perpetrators of the crimes. So
Yeah.
that's what I've been more focused on.
Yeah, it's called the COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act. I'm trying to see like what it does, like what's the like, are they coming down harder on people who commit these crimes? But I'll definitely take a look at that and inform the audience later. But I mean, there has been progress, so I like to see that there are bills being done and acts being passed. So hopefully when people heard the episode when you kind of just went off on everyone, hopefully that it made some noise.
Yeah, well, let's definitely chop that up and share that.
Cool. All right. So heading to our main topic right now, how to deal with job interview and job search rejection. It is no secret that we have all been there. I've lost count of how many times I've been told no, whether it be through a job search, the interview itself. You have employers who are, I've been in the room where the interview has been going on and they just stopped it right then and there. I'm like, eesh, like that's bad. But it happens to everybody. And Cris and I just wanted to kind of share our takes of how to deal with this. This is something that, something that I just mentioned that everybody goes through. So it really, for me, I see it as a way of how you can bounce back from it and how it can make you much, just like stronger, because it's going to happen. You just have to get not used to it, but build some thick skin. And it really depends on how your mindset is and how you take this rejection in. So with that being said, Cris, I wanted to start off with you first in terms of how do you think people can deal with it and what they can do to kind of, I guess, get over the rejection.
So there's two big ways of looking at it. And if you go to the RiskReward show IG page, there's some poll questions, right? So one of the questions was, on whom do you place the blame? So let's say that you place the blame on yourself when facing job rejection. So the risk to that is it decreases your confidence and your self-efficacy, which is the term that I use, not imposter syndrome, because self-efficacy is like the ability to sort of effectuate a change by your actions, like the feeling that you can do something. And when you place the blame for rejection, especially within jobs and like careers, all on you, like you're losing out on these powerful tools to push you forward. Like the belief that you can do something, you can do it well, and that confidence that surrounds that. You also, if you blame it all on yourself, then that all really leads to a feeling of being overwhelmed. So that might actually paralyze you in a sense in terms of moving forward. But there's another risk to blaming it all on yourself, and it's you just might be factually wrong. It's not you. It's things that are beyond your control, like the pool of candidates you were competing with, or some of the internal hiring circumstances. Um, and if you assume that it was you, when the fact of the matter was it was actually some dynamics related to the employer, a couple of things can happen. One, you'll either find trouble. You'll either have trouble finding the right adjustments to make, right, or you'll end up changing things that you really didn't have to. You might have done really well on an interview, right? You've executed on everything that you expected, but there was just and it's not a better candidate. It's a candidate that the employer thought was a better fit. So that's on them, right? So when you take it all on yourself, that's the risk that you face for yourself. You might, that like you might actually adjust when you don't have to. You might make the wrong adjustments, and that's on top of like the confidence. Now, on the flip side, if you blame just the employer, you're like, oh, they rejected me. Like that's on them, they're trash, right? You could do it that way, but then in doing so, you might end up preserving the blind spots that you have that prevent yourself from improving. So you're not displaying, forget grace, like you're not displaying like growth mindset with that. And in doing so, you might also burn bridges that you might need later on. So you just never know when the person that you're dealing with might, like be helpful down the line. Maybe a similar role or even a better role opens up and you can take advantage of that. So that's my take on that.
Yeah, just to touch up on that last part that you said, like not burning your bridges. There's been plenty of times when recruiters are offering people roles that, maybe you're not a good fit for this one, but if you make that good first impression, they'll definitely keep you on your mind for any role that does, just like open up later. So with any recruiter that you speak to or any, hiring manager that it doesn't work out, regardless if they say no, still keep that relationship because you never know what could happen. I guess for me, I just want to start out with like some general tips of like what to do when you do get that rejection. Something that you hit on earlier is that I feel like for a bunch of us, when we hear no, we think it's us. So I think it's very helpful. Something that we share with a bunch of the students that we do work with is to have that, that board of people to always talk to, just to kind of bounce off, this is what I'm doing. How does this sound? So if you are ever in that, just like situation where you're being told no, I think it's good if you have, someone or a group of people that you can talk to, like, hey, this is what happened. This person said no, like this is how it went. And I feel like when you get that off of your chest, not only are you just letting that go, but while you're talking about it, then you can probably get feedback like, hey, like maybe you should have did this, or I recently applied to that company and they're not like when it comes to us, looking for I guess if you're like an entry level person, like they're always looking for like senior level people. So going back to that point of it's probably not you, it's probably the company and what they're trying to find. So when you put that blame on you, like I just don't want people to be so hard on themselves because I feel like your inner voice is the hardest. Like your inner voice is like the meanest person out there because you're always thinking about like, damn, it was me. I'm just not good enough or something like that. But when you have a chance to talk with people, you kind of get like a better sense of like the bigger picture to where you can kind of see like, hey, it's not like I did what I had to do. I brought what I can to the table. I just wasn't a good fit for this role. Secondly, I just want to say, just keep it pushing. Don't take it personal when companies say no to you. The more no, I feel like the more, times you try, the better chances you get. So if you apply to one job and you don't hear from that one job, you're just like, oh man, but no one wants me. But you really it's really, when it comes to applying for jobs, it is a numbers game. If you put out 10, you could probably expect like one callback. If you put out 20, probably two. I think it's called like the 10% rule or something like that. Like if you put out 10, you'll probably get one back. So it's a numbers game. So definitely just keep it pushing. When somebody says no, do not take it personal. And the third piece of advice is, what if you're not a good fit? Let's say, for instance, you're applying for a role and they're looking for somebody who has like management experience, but they don't say that. I feel like a lot of times you have hiring managers who know what the job is, but don't tell you like the full story. So let's say you get into that job and now you're like, oh, I got to manage these people. Like, how come this wasn't, spoken about? So what if you were like not a good fit for that role? Just because you didn't have the skills that are there. So the employer could probably be, just like saving you as well as saving, on their end, just like time as well as money. Um, so if you're not a good fit for them, it's probably for the best, because the role or the company itself is probably too, just like jumbled, to where, you really can't, if you're, someone who's new to, just like looking for a job, and this is probably like your first or the second job, you don't want all of that pressure on you. You don't want to feel, just like overwhelmed. So just know that if they say no, it's probably for the better. But when it comes to the rewards of, people saying no, I think there is a bunch of upside. For me personally, when someone tells me no, I kind of look in me and just to say, like, what can I do better? Like, what can and I feel like that's a place where a lot of people don't, I guess, like do, or like kind of just like, tackle, like in the interview itself. If you do not ask a question, you failed, point blank, period. So if you see it's not going well, definitely ask that hiring manager, like, hey, what can I do better? Is there any areas of like improvement that you see? And this goes back again to talking to like your, I guess, like your circle of people, just giving them insight on like, hey, this is what happened, this part that didn't go well, like what do you think that I could do better? And it kind of just like motivates you to do much better the next time. Another point is that it teaches you patience. I feel like this is the the world of now. So if I do this, I should get it now or something like that. But it doesn't always work like that, like at all. If you put jobs out, it takes time for, this process to actually happen. Like, you're not going to get a job the second you put out your resume. So please, anybody who thinks that's not how it works. It takes time. You have to be patient. This is like a process. Another part I want to bring up is that, let's say, I mean, and also when you're, applying for jobs and people say no, maybe that wasn't the right, path for you. There's plenty of times where I've been on jobs and I'm like, you know what? I don't think, like, the more people I talk to, the more hiring managers I talk to, I realize like maybe I don't want to do this. And maybe I want to do like, marketing instead or something like that, because I'm good with like social media. But I don't want to do, code all day long and sit behind a, just code behind a laptop. Maybe I want to be in front of people now. So it really kind of gives you the perspective you need on where like you stand, which I think is very, very helpful. And you touched upon it earlier, Cris, when you said like this is just like a chance for you to grow inside. Grow like you to grow as like a professional. So I mean, I take it when people say no, I use it as like a chance for me to figure out about me. So with that being said, that's kind of how I feel, and hopefully these are some very helpful tips and the upside that you can find when dealing with your interview or job search rejection.
That's very mature of you, Derrick, in processing a no. At least I don't do that all the time.
Yeah.
So, but that's very mature of you. I'll save some of my thoughts on that later. But I did want to get to a couple of things as follow up. So one, what you said about the inner voice being the harshest one out there, please clip that and share that out, because folks need to like recognize that. So there's so many things against us already. Like, we can talk about things that are systemic and institutional, but I will not let people escape from the fact that, and like that we sabotage ourselves. And sometimes it is that inner voice. That's something you have to confront head on. I do that every day. It's hard. It's harsh. But working through that is important in terms of career advancement. I also want to get to some of the polls that we put out and some of the feedback that we gotten from our audience.
Mm-hmm.
So first, I'll go straight to the polls. So we asked on RiskReward show on IG, the poll was, do you really view job rejection as redirection? And it's actually 50-50 right now. right?
Mm.
So that's interesting. So some people have viewed it as a redirection, and others have not. And then second question was, on whom do you place blame when facing rejection? So it's either the employer or myself. And 67% said myself.
Ooh.
So it's interesting, right? So if you view job rejection as redirection, right? Whether or not you do that, it's still mostly like the blame is on you. Like we put the blame on ourselves.
Yeah.
And I see that. I also wanted to get to one comment, really insightful. So one of the questions that I put out was, um, like how, like what are your tips for dealing with rejection? And I kind of put wrong answers only. so so we had a couple of funny ones, like roasting the company on IG. Make sure you tag them, which we do not suggest, right? That was just for fun. We don't suggest that, or giving mean feedback. So we definitely don't suggest that, but that was funny to see. One person said, all I have is shade, right? So, but I really wanted to ask that is because that's our sort of, oftentimes our initial reaction. Like we're angry,
It's primal.
right? Yeah. So I wanted that out. That's why I was waiting for like wrong answers only.
Yeah.
So when people talk about like that gut instinct, no, I don't want you to follow your gut instinct all the time, because sometimes it's not constructive and helpful for your career. So don't always trust that gut. Like that may not be the best decision. So I am not towards that. But there was one very insightful comment from a student that I worked with a long time ago. Like I was at City College and she was in high school. So Sonia, thank you for the comment. And she said that she happened to go through a couple of experiences of rejection, and quote, it's really discouraging at first, but I took it as a learning experience. I know my second interview was better than my first. Each time you move on, you can give an interview with more confidence. Also, trying not to be too hard on yourself can help you continue your job search. I know when I went for mine, there were so many more people interviewing for the same single position. So like we alluded to before, sometimes it's the pool of candidates, and sometimes like you said, it might be a numbers game, and it's just the odds are just stacked against you.
Yeah.
And then she said it's possible the others may have had more direct and applicable work experiences. However, this is one last piece that she said, eventually had to settle for a less competitive job and figured I could work my way up into the system. So she went for kind of like that foot in the door phenomenon. Like she was still confident in her skills, but she changed her strategy a little bit. Let me aim for a slightly lower role so I can get in and I can prove myself while I'm inside.
Awesome. I do want to share some answers that I got also. So for me, my question was, what advice can you give to someone who's looking for a job? So the answers that I received were, make sure that your resume is updated. I think that's important when you're, I guess, before you even get like that. No, make sure that when you're going there that you're, just like ready for that. Another answer was formatting your resume, which I think is important too. Like, don't have your resume as, copy number 2 dash something, don't have any random name. It should be your first name, last name, or probably like that company name, or just resume. And two others that I received was, one, don't lose hope and believe in yourself, which I think is something that needs to be screamed and shouted, because when you hear that no, like you mentioned, it's a very primal thing that you're like, you said no to me? Like, no, like, what you mean no to me? So it's primal that you're going to lash out. But in a situation like this, knowing that your career is on the online, I'm really trying to stress to people to not think on like that primal instinct and to really know that this is a game where you have to play and it's going to be numbers, and just do not lose hope. Keep on pushing and do not give up, because you'll be very, very, I mean, the fact that is her name Sonia?
Sonia.
Yeah. So the fact that she said that she was much better for that second one, I think that is key. That is like that's what should happen. That is, when you say no the first time, you're going to be better the next time. So I think that quote and that story that she shared is very, very powerful. So shout outs to her.
Yeah, Sonia, if you're watching this, I'll share a clip so that you're forced to watch this. I want you to know that I'm really proud of you. Like seeing you ascend, you're fostering this career in occupational therapy, going through like all of higher ed to get to this point. I'm super proud of you and seeing your growth. I'm gonna leave this topic with one comment to the rejectors, right? So Derrick and I and some of our audience, we had jokes in terms of our primal instincts, and maybe I'll apply this beyond jobs. So for the rejectors out there, it is not our job to make you feel better about rejecting us. We can react to it however we want, right? That's our prerogative. We can do what we want to do. Now, the advice that we gave is so that our audience can take rejection and kind of use it and frame it in a more constructive way for their careers. But if someone who gets rejected never wants to talk to you again, that's fair. That is a fair outcome. If someone remembers you rejected them down the line, that's fair too. And the reason I'll point that out is, not just because I'm a little bit petty, but for the employers out there, you need to think about how you reject people. And rejection can come in the form of never ever getting back to someone, right? Or it could be a really kind way of telling someone they weren't the best fit for the role, but you added some suggested roles, or you took their resume and you referred them to a colleague at another company because they think you might be a good fit for another role. So for the rejectors out there, know that the tips that we're giving here, there's a flip side to this, and you can find ways to be more graceful in how you let people down.
So I was recently speaking to a client with a client of mine, and their problem was candidate experience. They had people apply, but then they were getting a bunch of bad reviews. And I'm like, my first question was, are you ghosting them? Or do you get back to people? They was like, no, we don't get back to everybody. Sometimes we just don't have the time and stuff like that. I'm like, that's what you should expect. Like, you can't, when people are looking forward to working for you. So if you tell them no, at least tell them no. Like, whether it's a yes or a no, at least give them that closure. Like, hey, maybe you're not a good fit for this role, but we'll keep you in mind for any other roles that are coming down the pipeline. But ghosting people, I think that is a whole nother topic that I can go on and on forever about companies, because that is a big problem. Like, you don't understand. I'm pretty sure they know, but companies, I want any employers out there, I want you to know that when you ghost people talk. People will talk. They will tear you down. They will say certain things about you. You will get bad reviews on LinkedIn. There's this app called Blind. I like a lot, because not only do they share like salary ranges for like all of these companies, but they let you know, like, hey, I went through this hiring process. Don't talk to this person here, or don't talk to this company because they don't get back to you, or the way how they do this is wrong. And you'll have people like, all right, we won't talk to this company. And then the company's going to wonder how come people aren't applying no more. And then that's like another problem. I mean, that works for me because I get to come and solve that problem, and they pay me for it. But just getting people that heads up that when you ghost people, just know that it's going to come, just like tenfold in terms of you won't have like that pipeline.
Yeah. So a quick follow up. I do two things, and this will be another main topic for another episode. But I do two things on the hiring side. So one, if we get to the point where we ask a candidate about salary or wage they expect, I always make the decision to pay them a little bit more. Right. So that's on the front end. When they want to transition, I offer to help them either find the next role, or it's an amplification of the work that they've done. Of course, you do it along the way, but amplification of the work that they've done for the company on either LinkedIn or Instagram.
Yeah. All right. Well, Cris, let's wrap this topic up and get to Twitter Spaces. I think we have a couple of people there that are waiting for us. Cool.
Yes. Let's get to the right move right now. What's yours?
Right move right now. Bitcoin they had a 8% gain. So if you missed the dip, I would still consider, thinking about it. But besides, my always, buy the Bitcoin, I'll just go back to one of the quotes that we got, or sorry, one of the answers when it comes to dealing with job rejection. But do not lose hope. Just keep it up. Do not lose hope.
Yeah.
So how about you?
Yeah. So to piggyback on that, try to look at the strategies you're employing when in terms of like your job search, and you can make little tweaks here and there, but know that and have that confidence and self-efficacy that you've done the preparation and you can do the work. That does a lot to carry you through just the job search, which can be daunting.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of like going by volume, you could use your connections to get you a higher hit rate on interviews. And then the last thing, the right move right now, just like I did, go get your second shot of Moderna and Pfizer, because the early studies that have been published show that 8% of folks never went back to get their second shot. So I don't know about you all, but I'm not one for half-assedness, right? So not getting the second shot to me is half-assedness. So don't be half-assed on anything, including the vaccinations. Like, do you see the death that's going on in India, in Brazil?
It's wild.
Right? Hundreds of thousands of people. So go get that second shot.
And we'll leave it on that. Don't half-ass it, y'all. All right.
You on Twitter?
Yeah, Cris, we're gonna use the risk reward one, or you want to use mine?
Twitter Spaces. I think we're gonna use. I'll use mine, Cris Cotto. I don't know if you want to use RiskReward show or the distro account. It's on you.
Yeah. All right. I'll put it on the I'll just put it on mine because that's something that I think it's easy for me to just do. So
Okay.
I'll share the link on IG for everybody so they can join up on Twitter Spaces. But see you there.